Hey guys, today we're making an Easter wreath with this really cute Easter bunny and this oval shaped wreath form. Let's get started. We're going to need the form, we're going to need some hot glue, some wire cutters. Later on, I also need a little bit of floral wire, all these flowers and greenery. Oh, and a bunny. You're going to need a bunny. So remember last year I did a tabletop bunny nest. You can watch that over on talktothehands.com. This year I'm doing, it's pretty much the same concept. We're just putting it on a wreath form. But you might notice that we're using a lot of the same materials that we used in that tabletop decor piece. But we're just kind of punching it up a notch with more greenery, more flowers. We've got 3 different types of greenery in this design. I've got 4 different types of flowers I'm going to use and a berry that we're going to add in. So as you can see, I've been cutting up all of the branches individually. I do not like putting in any sort of stems that are, especially if it's like a bush of some kind. I almost always will break it up into pieces. It gives me more control of the placement, and that's really important. Right now, we're just kind of establishing the shape that we're going to take on with this design. It's a nest, so I want it all to be down at the bottom and centered and really full. So you've got up and out. You hear me say that a lot with the floral design. You want to think up and out, but also with the bottom there, we want to go down and out, if that makes sense. Now these green stems that I'm pulling apart right here, I'm actually going to I'm going to use most of them right now in the design, but I'm actually saving a handful of them for the very end. I know that I'm going to need to do some shaping and just kind of a final fill at the very, very end. So I'm not using all of them just yet. One technique you're seeing with this design is that we're not just stacking one stem on top of the next. I like to work left and right, front and back. I like pulling out the greenery and tucking stuff in underneath and then shaping it so it all looks like it's growing together. Here I have a staple gun and some floral wire. This is so I can attach my bunny to the wreath. Now this wire is way too flimsy. I could not find my thicker wire, so I had to improvise. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So I've glued these to the bottom of the feet, and we're going to take the wire and just twist it. This makes it a lot thicker, a lot more sturdy, so it doesn't just bend all over the place. We're just going to tuck it down and tie it off at the bottom. Now I cut off the excess, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my cutters and I'm going to fold that wire into the wreath form. That way there's nothing sharp and pokey, and just to really secure everything, I put quite a bit of glue over that. So again, not pokey and just more secure. Now we're breaking apart all these really pretty flowers. One of the things I talk about all the time when doing floral tutorials, I like working from biggest to smallest. It makes sense in my brain. You can fill up a lot more space with bigger pieces, and then you work down from there. The smallest pieces being your filler pieces. These flowers really aren't that big. None of the flowers that I'm using today are really large flowers. These are the biggest ones, so I did start there. But then from there, I just kind of go back and forth between colors. I don't go pink and pink. It's like pink and white, and then yellow, and then pink again, then yellow again. So that way I can really keep a good visual and to keep everything balanced. Something that you might have noticed is that I cut the stems fairly long. I don't really cut my flower stems down too short, and that's because you really want to try and keep some distance between your stems and the base, the wreath form base. You don't want to have it all smashed up at the bottom. You want there to be some length if you can get away with it. Some stems just aren't that long. These ones I'm working with here, some are longer than others, and I just kind of took advantage of whatever length I could get out of them. But for the most part, if you have a nice long stem, try and keep it long. And also too, it's easier to cut down a stem to something shorter if you want, rather than if you cut it too short, now you have to make a stem, and that's a lot more work. Make sure as you're going back and forth that you're still paying attention to that shape. You want to try and keep everything pretty well balanced as you're going. All right, so now it's time for the berries. Now I only bought the 2 stems, so I knew that I was going to be really limited with how many of these I'd have to use. So whenever you're in a situation where you only have a couple of something, this is where you have to be really, really picky about where they go. And there were a couple times I took a step back and kind of looked at it, really examined how it was looking and where I really wanted them to go because it was just all I had. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. If you have a limited amount, it's okay. Just make sure you're spreading it out the way that you want it to be in the end. I would also recommend just even laying out the pieces where you think you want them to put, and before you glue it, like lay it all out and make sure you like it first, and then you can go back and glue. That's something else you can do. Oh, and hey, and if you're enjoying this video, now is a good time to hit the like button. We really appreciate that. It makes such a huge difference for our channel. It helps us to create more videos of fun things being made, and we appreciate you very much. Thank you. Those green pieces I was telling you about. So I went ahead and just kind of placed these in a few spots where I felt like it just needed a little bit of filler. So this is something I recommend doing. So just save some pieces to the very end that if you use them, great. If you don't use them, it's fine too. But more times than not, you're going to want to use them. So definitely recommend doing that. All right, and that's it. We're all done. I'm going to go hang this up on the door.